Hey, 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 happy Tuesday. Come on in, pull up a chair. The Gaming Gang Dispatch is in the air. Howdy, gang, and welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host here at the Gaming Gang Dispatch, brought to you by, incredibly enough, thegaminggang.com, of which I happen to be the founder and editor-in-chief. So welcome aboard, everybody. Tonight is Tuesday, April 29th, 2025. This is live stream 1181. The ones are wild. If you're not overly familiar with the show, let me point out, super casual around here. Just hanging out, talking about the latest in tabletop gaming news. And then I will usually take a first look at a game. Maybe I'll flip through a role-playing game book or unbox a board game. Every once in a while, I might pontificate about a topic related to our hobby. And tonight, we're actually going to dive on into yet another edition of the Paizo Preview. That's right, I am going to show you the 4 physical releases which are going to be arriving from Paizo Inc. on May 7th. So stay tuned for that. If you are tuning in for the Paizo Preview, do want to mention we're probably looking at about 35, maybe 40 minutes before we get to that, because we always tackle the tabletop gaming news first. Of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit gaminggang.com for the latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more you are not going to find here on YouTube. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. If you would like to support the Gaming Gang, we now have a Patreon. You can find the link in the show notes. And if you want to hang with the gang, be sure to join our Discord server. There is an invite link also in those show notes. And of course, because this is a live show, that means there is chat available. It's not on screen. It's one of the ways I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay. And you must be a subscriber for at least 10 whole minutes before you can take part in chat. Yet another way I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay. But if you happen to check that box and you want to say howdy, maybe you've got a question, a comment, by all means, chime in. I will do my absolute best to respond. First out the gate tonight is Semper Buffo, as well as our good friend of the show, the Madman. Sean O'Donnell's with us, as is Pete Strakulich and Mike. So welcome, everybody. I will maybe take a guess that the lovely and talented Miss Sarah D just might be lurking in the shadows with her glittery banhammer, because she, alongside the Madman, are our chat moderators. But if Sarah D is with us, howdy. And we also have Planchisu, said they're watching today while painting miniatures. Well, welcome aboard. Hang out, relax, take a load off. All righty, so lots cooking. We're going to talk about a few things after the news, too. I've got a couple of items that I did want to mention, so we'll be getting into those in just a bit as Sarah D does chime in. She is hanging with the gang tonight. So let's jump on into the news. Slated to arrive in stores next month is the Tales of the Valiant starter set from our friends over at Kobold Press and Steam Forged Games. Thought about giving role-playing a go, but not sure where to start? This set is your answer. Created by Steam Forged in partnership with the role-playing legends over at Kobold Press, this set starts from the absolute basics. like how to talk at the table, all the way through your first session and beyond. Steamforged understands not everyone has an experienced friend to guide them through role-playing. So they've created the Tales of the Valiant starter set to be that friend. Whether you're a novice game master or new player, no one in your group needs experience to run this set. Got a little role-playing experience? Well, you're in luck too, because Tales of the Valiant uses something called the Black Flag role-playing system, which is fully compatible with 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons. So if you've played D&D, you'll feel right at home. And if you're already a fan of Tales of the Valiant, you'll love the ready-made adventures and 4 highly detailed player character miniatures representing 3 of the original Valiant heroes, plus a brand new character created especially for the starter set. Ready to start the greatest adventure of your lives? Inside this set, you'll find a world of excitement, danger, and heroism. Get ready to become a legend. This starter set's going to carry an MSRP of $44.99 when it lands in stores May 27th. Now, this is being released by Steamforged Games, not Kobold Press. So I have reached out to Steamforged to see if maybe we can take a peek at a review copy. Fingers crossed on that. Although I think reviewers have already gotten their hands on these, so I don't know. Steamforged can be kind of tricky because, they only set a certain number. Well, most companies do, but I think Steamforged sets probably fewer review copies to the side than other publishers. So if you're not right on top of that, you are SOL. Moving right along, the indominant superhero tabletop role-playing game, Super's Information Codex, say that 5 times fast, is up for crowdfunding. Here's the lowdown from Odin's Key Gaming. Indominant is a new evolution in the superhero tabletop role-playing game genre, designed from the ground up with the flexibility to allow any playstyle mixed with any power set, keeping things streamlined. Combining those with crunch combat that is tactically rewarding without bloat, the mechanics foster teamwork and combos between players. Become heroes with a group of 2 to 6 players and 1 comic editor, Indominant's Game Master, setting the scenes and guiding you through epic missions to save the day or rule the whole universe. Revolutionary superhero customization. Choose one of 5 archetypes, 5 species types, 5 power origins, and 10 power sets, each with 48 unique powers. Each archetype power set combination has 30 build-defining talents to choose from. That means a whopping 480 powers and 1,500 talents. Define your playstyle with archetypes, individual specialized roles on the battlefield. Choose your power set, fire and ice, super strength and psionics, gadgetry and weapons, and much more. Hone your combat specialties with talents unique to each archetype and power set combination. Improve and modify your power set to suit your playstyle. Select one of the many intergalactic species, from the Emergil, little green aliens of science fiction, to the crystalline robotic chromids, or even be an energoid being as the Velikin. Write your own story with power origins callings. Further develop who you are and how you gained your powers. Indominant uses a D20 roll high resolution mechanic. The entire rule system was designed to provide a cohesive experience with player creativity, customization, and balance as the main tenets of its design. Indominant has tactical crunchy combat paired with freeform social and exploration rules that focus on rulings over rules. What sets this system apart is unique and deep character creation and customization, which is supported by multiple systems that give you the true feeling of being a super-powered hero. This backer kit project is fully funded. You can reserve a copy of the hardcover core book for a $49.95 pledge, or score just the PDF for a $24.99 pledge through May 8th. Expected delivery on the finished PDF is June of 2026. That is pretty far out there. Also want to mention there is no word on the physical book's expected delivery. And once again, this is a backer kit project, so it's never easy to find when the expected delivery is. So one of the things I do not like about backer kit, because there have been some projects that have absolutely no indication of when you should expect to receive those items. And to me, that's a little bit weird. But I'll tell you what's not weird is this game. This game looks pretty impressive, especially the artwork. And you got to keep in mind now that Greater Than Games is gone, their Sentinels Comics role-playing game is a thing of the past now. Although I have to say, I was never a fan of the art in the Sentinel Comics. All the Greater Than Games, like superhero releases that they did, I did not like the artwork. The artwork was just not what I would expect from games that are supposed to be, comic book superhero games. So might want to take a peek at this. Pete Strakowicz says, I agree, Jeff. Worst disappointment is to wait years after backing. Yes, especially with what's currently going on. What is currently going on with tariffs and all the other. I'm not going to get into that tonight, but it is freaking a lot of people out, and it is actually putting game publishers against each other. It's kind of weird. Kind of weird. All right, moving right along. Let's talk about saving you money, because right now you can save on the Defiant Urban Fantasy role-playing game by way of Game Machinery and Bundle of Holding. And I've got the deets on the deal. Adventure! Be the master of your domain with this new Defiant bundle featuring, well, you guessed it, Defiant, the Game Machinery tabletop role-playing game of supernatural aristocrats ruling modern-day cities. Defiant is an urban fantasy of mighty supernaturals who rebelled against destiny and, instead of destroying the world, decided to protect it. By enforcing a demanding set of rules, the Defiant aristocracy empowers protective seals around their cities, making them the only safe havens in a world ravaged by the apocalypse. As a powerful Defiant blue blood leading the supernatural society of fallen angels, demons, ancient gods, and dragons, you empower your holdings, like clubs or luxurious mansions, with the strength of your passions. You walk a thin line, gratifying your desires without violating the arcane laws of your society. What will you sacrifice to do what is right? And what rules do you bend to get what you want? This new offer gives you much of the Defiant game line, everything you need to enter a world of ruthless politics, demons from hell, extravagant parties, more on that in a minute, apocalyptic cults, royal marriages, blood feuds, reborn gods, fallen angels, personal courts, and did I mention dragons? For just $14.95, you'll get all 6 titles in the Defiant Collection, which has a retail value of $64, as DRM-free PDFs, including the complete full-color 630-page Defiant core rulebook, along with the free Awakening Quick Start and 5 campaign supplements, Birthright, Bridgewood Guide, House Kamale, Subjects, and Vanheim Tower. These savings will run through May 5th. And I will say, it is my understanding this is aimed at a more mature audience, because one of their supplements is I'm paraphrasing the title, Defiant Guide to Orgies. Doing. And yes, it focuses on lewd parties and such. And, well, obviously enough, orgies. It's like, okay. Hey, if that floats your boat at your game table, that's okay. That's fine with you. Maybe not necessarily something I want to be doing, but, that's okay. Tessie Trekkie's with us and says, hey, I saw the Cult review. I have the Kickstarter edition. The art is every bit as evocative and disturbing as you'd expect. Yes, quite a few reviews have popped up over the past few days. We'll mention that in just a bit. Robert Santon's joining us in chat also. So welcome aboard. Moving right along, Conan the Hyborian Age role-playing game core book is now available in PDF from Monolith Board Games. Here's what I know. Conan the Hyborian Age is a tabletop role-playing game of swords and sorcery set against a backdrop of Robert E. Howard's Conan stories. With King Conan perched upon the throne of Aquilonia, it is time for other brave warriors to take up the mantle of adventurer to craft their own stories and to face unknown horrors in the darkest corners of the world. In temple and tomb, through desert and forest, threats lurk unseen, ready to slay and devour. Will you be steady of sword and steadfast of mind? Will you survive an age undreamed of? It is time to carve out your own legend. This core book contains everything the game master and players need to explore Conan's world, including how to create your own character, detailed rules, an exhaustive list of possible encounters, 3 ready-to-play tales, a highly detailed history of Conan's exploits, a geography of the Hyborian world, and a treasure trove of incredible artwork. I do have to say, artwork looks mighty impressive. And I think there are some Frazetta pieces that are being shared, such as what we're looking at right now. I'm pretty sure that's a Frank Frazetta piece. Not too shabby, not too shabby. Game takes a game master-friendly approach requiring minimal preparation for each adventure. Quick character creation. Be battle-ready in minutes, not hours. Accessible and streamlined rules with an intuitive dice system. Visceral, fast, and empowering combat mechanics that promote a feeling of forward momentum. A gritty, brutal setting where only the mighty can thrive. A tone for both gamers and fans of Conan literature alike. See, I don't like that. And I see that with some game companies when they release something that's based on another IP. They're like, oh, this is for gamers and people who aren't gamers. And it's like, really? Why would you be promoting a game to people who don't play games? It's like, I don't think all of this artwork is going to be like exclusive to this book, but this 227-page PDF is available right now for 25 euros. And I got to say, I am really interested in how this turns out. I know it was a successful crowdfunding run to get this to market. I also understand there are 3 books that are being released. I think all 3 of them are out in PDF. I will double check. Maybe I'll bring some news about those the rest of the week. But I am kind of curious because remember, Modifius Entertainment did just a fantastic job with their Conan outside of the fact that people didn't care for the 2D20 system. That's what really stood in the way of seeing more success for the Conan series. But there were a lot of releases, lots and lots of stuff out there for the Modifius Entertainment Conan Adventures in an Age Undreamed of. But now Monolith is carrying the IP, so we will see what they bring to the table. Final news piece, now in print and PDF from our friends over at Troll Lord Games, is the Monstrous Armory for Castles and Crusades. I've got the skinny. The manifold humanoids and demi-humans, orcs, gnolls, bugbears, dwarves, elves, gnomes, halflings, The giants, demons, devils, and monsters of many stripes all must arm themselves with the accoutrements of war. These armaments are as diverse as those who wield them, ranging from the mailed fist of the bugbear to the harpy's crone stave. Some are familiar, others, however, are eerily otherworldly, entirely strange weapons conjured and adapted to the wholly different minds of those who people fantastical realms. In Monstrous Armory, Castles and Crusades unleashes those weapons carried by monsters, both humanoids and monstrous. Chosen and preferred weapons for over 40 creatures mark the book's beginning, but it doesn't stop there. From the Rakshas's blades to the giant scythe, we give the tools to the CK to bring mayhem to the players like never before. Monsters Armory marks a whole new chapter in monster development, giving them tools of war as unique as the monsters themselves. This 160-page hardcover is available now. It carries an MSRP of $29.99. If you want to grab just the PDF alone, you can do so over at Drive-Thru RPG for $19.99. Woohoo! I have reached out to my friends over at Troll Lord Games to see if we can get our hands on a few more things from them, because all I've got left to review is The Hermit. I guess I should say Gary Gygax's The Hermit, which I plan on having my review of. I will have it hit later on this week, probably over the weekend, to be honest with you. And then that's it. I really don't. And I know Troll Lord Games has been releasing stuff. They've got that starter set that's on the horizon, which I am very curious about, because there is one thing about Castles and Crusades that I think, I mean, everybody's got their own take on the rules mechanics. I like the mechanics. They're not perfect. I get it. I understand. Higher level adventures, the saves are kind of wacky. Kind of need to house rule those, because as your characters become more powerful, their saves don't really get better. They just kind of move along. Okay, so like in Dungeons and Dragons, right? As your character goes up in level, it's much easier for them to save against dragon breath, and wands and rods, and stuff like that. Whereas with Castles and Crusades, it doesn't scale that way. It just kind of stays the same. So the one house rule that I recommend is you actually, because you're supposed to add the level, like say it's a save against a spell. You're supposed to add the level of the spell caster to the challenge number. That's why I'm saying, like, this stuff just kind of just scales along the same way. The player characters don't become like much more powerful and absorb these saves as well as they could in other games. So what I recommend is, like, for spells and that, just add the spell level, not the spellcaster's level. So even if it was like a 12th level magic user and they're casting a first level spell, you're only adding 1 to that challenge number. So yeah, there's stuff like that. So one of the things I was just about to say that I think it'd be cool if we could see something, come out for Castles and Crusades at some point, is a setting that's got a little more whimsy to it. A little more of a kind of a fairy tale vibe to it. Now, I'm not saying it's got to be silly or goofy or anything like that. I'm not saying that at all. But if you look at the Day setting for Castles and Crusades, it's pretty standard fare. It doesn't stand out like it could. Like, as an example, I think Midgard from Kobold Press is awesome. Love it. I think that is just a wonderful setting. And even if I weren't running Tales of the Valiant, I would put like epic fantasy role playing in that setting at my game table because I think it works really nicely and it's different. Not so much. So I'm kind of curious because if you've seen the artwork for the Castles and Crusades starter set, it's got a bit of, a little bit of a playfulness to it. So Mateo is with us tonight, says, is leveling really irrelevant? No, I'm not saying it's irrelevant. I'm saying that the saves don't scale like the rest of the character advancement does. Tessie Trekkie says, Dolmenwood is lovely, dark fairy tale woodlands. I wouldn't mind taking a peek at that. Seeing that now it's its own game, which is weird because Gavin Norman put together Old School Essentials. It's like that has been the bread and butter for Necrotic Gnome for a long time. I don't know. I do not know what people think about that yet as far as the setting itself. I saw someone online was saying that it's silly and goofy and they would never run a game that's set in Dolmenwood. And I thought, well, I've read The Winter Daughter or Winter's Daughter. I mean, that had kind of a fairy tale vibe to it, but it wasn't silly. I don't know. I don't know. Pete Strakowicz says, I can't wait for you to review this, Jeff. Talking about Monstrous Armory. Is it a 4-volume Armory set? I don't know. I do know that we've got this. There's another Armory book. I want to say a soft cover about war mounts just came out. Like I said, I reached out. I don't know. I got to say, it's getting to the point where I have to constantly be like reaching out to publishers as opposed to just, I've reviewed the last 20 things you've released. Why don't you just send it my way when something comes out? Why do you have to be like, hey, would you mind sending that? I don't know, it's weird. It's kind of weird. Hey, but I did get some goodies too. I'll show you those a little bit later. So actually, funny enough, the two things I wanted to mention actually didn't have anything to do with Troll Games. I was just kind of getting up on that tangent. Actually, we rocked through the news pretty quick. So anyway, wrapping up the news, I was talking about Drive-Thru RPG. Remember, that's where you can get Monstrous Armory if you wanted a PDF. Do not forget, the Gaming Gang, thus the Dispatch, is affiliated with the One Bookshelf sites. So if you're going to visit, say, I don't know, Drive-Thru RPG, Storyteller's Vault, Dungeon Masters Guild, even Wargame Vault, Drive-Thru Comics, stop by thegaminggang.com first, click on one of our banners. That way, if you happen to make a purchase, I will get a portion of that sale. And all those nickels, dimes, and quarters really do go a long, long way to keeping the gaminggang.com website around. Of course, if you like the video, if you dig the channel, if you find the Gaming Gang to be a valuable resource, hell, if you just like what we do, we now have a Patreon. So if you would like to be a supporter of the Gaming Gang, we do have 4 different tiers, and some of those tiers will give you special privileges over on our Discord server. Yeah, we've got a Discord server too nowadays. So by all means, please consider supporting the Gaming Gang on a monthly basis. And of course, if you want to hang with the gang, and if you are on our Discord, yeah, if you want to get involved in the discourse here, if you would like to jump aboard our Discord server, there is an invite link in the show notes. So by all means, check that out. We've got a few folks popping on into chat. Let's say hello to Kevin R. Smith. Mark Hawkswell is also with us. Keldon is joining us once again, as is Jack Hanks. Mateo is asking, did Dolmen Wood get delayed? Yes, it has gotten delayed. A lot of Kickstarters out there are not shipping to the United States. This is just a mess. It is an absolute mess. And sorry to say, it is really bringing to the fore just how poorly run many game companies are. We've talked about this in the past. People who run game companies are not normally business people. They tend to be gamers who are, they love the hobby, so they get into the business. And things like this, when they come along, can be devastating. Once again, this isn't even one of the things I wanted to talk about, but I will mention, I did see GMT Games, our friends over at GMT Games. They shared some information about how the tariffs are going to affect them. And they've got $500,000 in products at the printers in China. And they've got the funds to pay for the $500,000. But with the tariffs, it is going to make those cost something like $1.45 billion. And it's like, wow, we do not have those funds. So you're noticing some game companies are like, rolling out these sales. GMT is one of them. And it's to get them some operating capital. So yeah, it's pretty wacky right now. Mateo says maybe they didn't expect how poorly run the U.S. is right now. Yeah, well. So first thing I wanted to mention, if you watched the appearance on the Philadelphia area gaming expo stream on Friday, I was on there and I apologize because if I had been a viewer, I'd have been bored out of my skull. And I wasn't on top of my game either because, well, for one, there were too many people on the stream. There were 6 people on this stream, 2 of them who really, well, there was one who said maybe 2 sentences in all the time I was present, and that was for about an hour. And then there was somebody else who just chimed in a little bit more. And they spent the rest of their time either staring ahead at their cam or just, looking at stuff on their phones. So they were like this, it was like, and then of course I spent a ton of time just staring at the camera, had my cans on, and I'm just, waiting for somebody to throw me, a question or something like that. And I had to laugh because one of the organizers was not happy with something I had said. So there was and we had some of the gang in chat. And I gotta be honest, if you were in that chat, you made the show. Because I can only imagine if you folks weren't there, there would have been hardly anybody in that chat. So anyway, there was a question that was asked. For some reason, I think it might have been Chris Lundgren was in the chat. I know Kevin R. Smith had popped in. There were a few folks from, our chat who hang out, the gang who were with us. And his question was, any advice for a game master running something for complete strangers? In essence, that was the question. And my answer was, don't pull an Ed Greenwood. And one of the other person who's involved, well, actually, I think all four of them who were like the hosts of the stream are all involved in putting on Page. But one of them said, "Oh, that's a deep cut," because it was kind of an inside baseball gag. But here's the thing, and it's not like it's not like this is a secret or anything. But Ed Greenwood is famous for running role-playing games at conventions, and it's just a perv fest. Where within 10 minutes, it's like, oh, your characters are they're in the Sultan's harem, and there's an orgy going on, and he'll get like into detail about it. So I gotta be honest, I'm kind of surprised Ed Greenwood has not been taken down by anybody, because it's like sort of like, what the fuck? I paid $10 for this ticket and this is the game? But I guess he does that all the time. So what I was really saying was, and then I even said this, but one of the organizers was just absolutely like freaking out that I brought up Ed Greenwood's name in that regard. What I was saying is, if you're running a role-playing game for absolute strangers, you got to make sure that game is G-rated, maybe PG, but you cannot touch upon anything that could be controversial in any sort of way, because you just don't know who's at your table. Kevin R. Smith says, from what they understand, Greenwood's toned down his behavior at conventions lately. Kevin R. Smith said that was the most entertaining moment of the show. Robert Santon, yeah, that's right. Robert was with us. He said that was fantastic. Yeah, but like I said, the one guy who's kind of in charge of Page, yeah, I could tell he did not like that at all. But I was like, hey, I even said it. I said, I only speak truth. Beast Racklet says, I wonder if Ed plays Lamentations of the Flame Princess. Dice Tales is with us, says common courtesy would suggest that you have a game with strangers that's unlikely to be offensive. You certainly make sure there's no good reason for anyone to think it's offensive. Even if you're going for like horror, right? And of course, it was mentioned earlier, I shared my review of Cult Divinity Lost today, if you have not checked that out. But what I was going to say is that even if you're doing horror, you got to tone it down. Like if you were running a Call of Cthulhu adventure at a convention, knowing that it's going to be complete strangers, you have no control over who's going to be sitting at your table. For all you know, it could be everybody's 12 years old. I doubt it, but it is a possibility. But you got to make sure that you're not going to freak people out, Stephanie Mackley is with us tonight from Stygian Fox. Welcome. So Kevin R. Smith says, I heard that Greenwood has also done stuff outside of game sessions that's been questionable. See, now I won't comment on that because who knows? But the being pervy, running games kind of thing, that's something that many, many people have commented about. Anyway, so that was one thing. I apologize if you tuned in for that stream on Friday, because I was certainly disappointed in my appearance on there. And it was weird because there was another guest too, super nice guy, an actor. Can't remember his last name. It's Ronan is his first name. A really interesting guy, but he was kind of the focus. But then because we had people from the gang in chat, they were throwing questions at me. So it was like, okay, all right. But to be honest, if I were, and the funny thing is, I almost sent a message to the one organizer, and I'd said, hey, what you should really look to do is maybe have 2 people and your guest for your show, as opposed to 6 people in a stream, and most of them are just staring at the camera like this, It's like, hey, the other thing I want to mention is, so I got this news item today, which I will not be sharing news about, but I am going to mention it real quick. And it was, there's a game that's going to come to, I think it's going to Kickstarter. And I kid you not, this is dead serious. The premise is January 6th. The insurrection that took place on January 6th. It's like a miniatures game. And on one side, you've got the police. On the other side, you've got the insurrectionists. And I'm sorry, that's what they are. I don't care what your political leanings are. That was an insurrection. That's textbook. And there's miniatures for them. So you've got miniatures of the various different individuals who stood out on that day. And I'm like, what the fuck is this? And of course, they're sending me this news piece because they want me. They're like, oh, we'd like you to, share it with your audience. And I'm like, are you joking? And they're playing it off like, oh, this game will help, bring about conversation between. No, it won't. No, it will not. Because I'll tell you right now, people on my side of the street wouldn't pay a fucking nickel for this thing. So we know exactly who this is being promoted to. And the weird thing is, it's not even coming from the US. It's like over in Europe. I think it's in England. I think it's an English company. I was like, yeah, okay. It's like, all right. Hey, you know what? I'm going to create a miniatures game, and it's all about the death of the queen. I mean, it's like, man, talk about poor taste. Kevin R. Smith was saying, oh, I should clarify. It's things that Ed has said, not done. Yeah, I know. But like I said, I still don't. People can say one thing. I don't know. I wasn't there. But like I said, the actual game sessions, there's no end to stuff you can find out online about that. TJ is with us in chat, says, imagine having to be the poor sod getting stuck with playing the insurrectionist. But here's the thing. That's who they're marketing this to, is the people who would want to play the insurrectionist. I'm like, man, I just don't get it. Dice Tell says a resource placement game about January 6th. No, I think it's supposed to be a skirmish level miniatures game. You'll be able to find it. Like I said, I'm not going to promote it. I'm not going to share a news piece. I'm not going to put a news piece on the website because I find it to be in very, very poor taste. But I tell you, a lot of shit stains in this world. Really are. Stephanie says, as a Brit, I apologize. As a Welsh woman, I can blame the English. Well, there you go. You can always blame the English. Kevin R. Smith says, there's a thing like that with all war games, somebody has to play the Nazis or the Afghans or whoever the bad guys are. Yeah, I used to be the guy who always had to play the Germans. Just always was the case. And I was like, yeah, fine, whatever. It doesn't, color my politics. But just looking at this game and the stuff that's said, like the little blurbs that they've got, it's like, yeah, I know. Are they going to sell this in the Trump store? That Trump Tower? Because it looks like it would fit right in. I will take a guess it would be made in China, like most of the other stuff that's in the Trump store. So you got that too. All righty. So that was it for our news and everything and my random musings tonight. We are going to get on into our Paizo preview for May 2025 in just a few moments. But first, I think it's time for a brief intermission.
What's your pleasure, sir or madam, and all you kiddies too? Sandwiches, freshly made from quality ingredients, soft drinks, cool, tangy, and refreshing. A hot dog? There you are, tender, juicy, done to a turn with some fixins. Hamburgers, ma'am? Just the way you like 'em, meaty, moist, and broiled to perfection. Soft drinks, kiddies? Take your choice, cold, tingly with flavor, all your favorite soft drinks for your selection. Something to eat for everyone, soft drinks to make your evening complete. Delicious, fresh, and satisfying to help your entertainment reach the peak of family fun.
Each shot pepper and mascot, flavor all the fun has got. And that peppermint flavor hangs on, hangs on, hangs on to what it's got.
When beech nut makes gum, the flavor hangs on.
Yeah, that rush of gushy flavor hangs on, hangs on, hangs on to what it's got.
Hang on to flavor.
By beech nut, by gum.
You guys brought me to a bingo game?
This is different, boss. Skittle bingo.
G8. Hey, I got it. I5. I got that one too. Okay, now I shoot. I4. Bingy.
The name of the game is bingo.
Change it. Scuttle bingo, babangy.
Is that it? You asking me, boss?
Yes, I'm asking you.
That's it.
Who asked you? What?
It's Skittle Bingo by Aurora.
Who asked you?
The Indians won't bother you. All you got's a shipment of Wilkins coffee. Someday he's gonna learn that everybody drinks Wilkins.
For over 500 years, this city has been your mother. Now the city will be ours. This is not a skirmish. This is a war. We must have the city. No.
Petra's our 20th century expert.
Expert?
Goes, that's from the committee.
I come from the future, from a city that travels in time, and we can choose what time zone we want to appear in. Right now, it should be around the end of the 32nd century. It's coming back in time.
What really happens when the city lands?
There's going to be a battle. Out there. Soon.
These Jendiki, are they human?
Only by a stretch of the imagination.
And what about you? Are you human?
Back up the line, they're still discussing that.
Form the triangle. Storm the city. Destroy them all.
Time Guardian. Starring Carrie Fisher, Princess Leia in Star Wars.
Just so we understand each other, mister, the moment that circuit closes, I'm in charge.
The hell you are.
Dean Stockwell.
You've been given a job to do, Smith. Now do it.
And Tom Burlinson as the Time Guardian.
Now listen, if we don't break through, we're all dead.
Let's get these tin cans. Go, go!
Time Garden. Things are going to get pretty ugly in the year 4039.
Skittle Bingo. Missed it by that much. And yes, I'm sure Carrie Fisher was sitting there thinking to herself, my God, thank goodness I'm finally going to be in a movie with really good special effects. God, they look awful. Awful. I don't even think it's a B movie. It's like D. And, you know, it's funny. There was a point in time, I recall this because I was, late teens, probably early 20s. As when Shih Tzu mentions Dean Stockwell, that's exactly who I was going to mention. He would show up in some of the most absolute trash movies. It was, my God, man. It's like, how bad do you need a check? It's like, God damn. He was a great actor, too. I think a lot of people really dig Dean Stockwell because of Quantum Leap. But no, he was in quite a few movies and shows and stuff. He was in Dune. David Lynch version of Dune. Sweet. Sweet. Very nice. Very nice. Hey, so I was talking about our Patreon before we went and took our brief intermission. Want to make sure I give a shout out to our members at the $10 or more tiers. We have got the Madman, Tessie Trekkie, Dan Webb, Tier 2 DM, and Game Cat. Thank you very kindly for your support of not only the channel, the website, everything we do. Much appreciated. Thank you very kindly. All right, so we're diving on into the Paizo Preview for May 2025. We have got 4 physical items, which are going to be arriving on May 7th. First, we're going to take a peek at the Pathfinder Flip-Mat Feasthall, which carries an MSRP of $19.99. You can grab just the PDF for $9.99. So I'm going to take a guess. We are going to see one side with the Feasthall, and then I would take a guess the other side's going to be the Feasthall in ruins. So here we go. And I mention this all the time. You don't need to be playing role-playing games to get a lot of use out of these, because these work very nicely for skirmish level miniatures games. All right. Yep, sure enough, there we go. Here's the Feasthall in ruins. We got blood streaks on the floor, broken tables. The head table is all smashed apart. Nice. And of course, you can use markers on these. If you use a permanent marker, you got to make sure that you take a dry erase marker and write over it, and then you can actually take it right off. So that's a peek at the Feasthall. Next up, we have got Derelict Starships for Starfinder. Yes, who is excited for 2nd edition Starfinder? Because we're actually going to get a chance to take a peek at the Galaxy Guide. I'm interested in the 2nd edition of Starfinder. I'm actually going to be doing the reviews for that, including the Galaxy Guide. So Sammy normally does our Paizo reviews. I am currently reviewing the Adventure Path for Pathfinder that just kicked off last month. And then she'll be back after that Adventure Path. And then I am going to tackle the Starfinder stuff. So these are Derelict Starships. So this is the first. So I'm taking a guess we're going to have 2 different ones. Yeah, Actually, this looks like this is part of a very large starship. So the hull has been blown off there, blown out. It looks like that's a cargo area. Nice. Very cool. Jose Fernandez says, yep, they're interested. Kevin R. Smith says they are interested. Stephanie says, I could use that as Hrothgar's Hall. I know I didn't pronounce that right. In the Beowulf RPG by Handiwork Games. All right, next up. This is the next installment in the Shades of Blood adventure path. The Broken Palace. So we are going to jump on in, take a peek at this. If you have not checked out my review for Thirst for Blood, that was something else I shared this weekend. So you might want to check that out. As far as the opening chapter of the adventure path, I thought it was solid. Not anything that was like really blowing me away or anything like that, but pretty solid. So let's take a peek at the back here. Jump on in. Cold was the ground. Delving deeper into the prison, the PCs make their way through ruined cell blocks before finding themselves in what appears to be an idyllic village. The clueless villagers are being preyed upon by their vampire masters. Spoilers! And the PCs need to break the spell and ascend into the Broken Palace to remove the threat of Lady Nafuse once and for all. I'm sorry, that's an L. I thought that was an F. Nelushe once and for all. The Shades of Blood adventure path continues with The Broken Palace, a complete adventure for 4th to 6th level characters. Of course, Thirst for Blood was for 1st through 3rd. Let's take a peek at the credits page. Lots of folks worked very hard to bring this to life. Looks like we got a map here. It looks like it's a side view. That's kind of cool. I like that. And this is broken up into 3 chapters. I want to say, and this is the impression I got from reviewing the first part, is that this is mainly kind of a mega dungeon, at least through this. So because the player characters are on this island, and the island is actually, it was part of the Aslan Empire way back in the day. And it was used as a prison where this vampire has been imprisoned. And the player characters find the entrance to this prison. Trapped in the Dark is chapter 1. Today, when the legacy of Aslan is discussed, it's often regarded as a single homogeneous empire, yet different philosophies of governance were practiced throughout Aslanti lands and history, as is true across all of Galarian's continents today. Thanks to the unearthing of Thessalonian ruins in Avestan, I don't know how this stuff's pronounced. The Aslanti concept of the 7 virtues of rule is perhaps the most commonly known. Okay, so where are we getting into this prison? It's like, okay, I get that. So the Aslanti are like Atlanteans. It's kind of a way you can look at it. At the end of the previous adventure, the player characters defeated the cunning werebat Rami and his cult of Kamats. However it's pronounced. It's like a bat god. It's the god of stolen blood. Subsequently discovering a well-traveled passageway leading deeper beneath the island surface. The knowledge that more of Rami's victims had been transported down this tunnel shouldn't be lost on the PCs, but at what pace they choose to mount a rescue mission is up to them. Okay, so Romy, however you want to pronounce it. Of course, we're not going to look at each and every page here, but give you kind of an idea. Looks like we've got quite a few combat encounters. You know, one thing I mentioned in my review of Thirst for Blood is, weirdly enough, the Pathfinder adventures, they don't really feel like level appropriate. And what I mean by that, if you haven't seen the review, it's like, it doesn't matter if an adventure path kicks off and it's for starting off at first level or 10th level or 15th level. They all feel like they're all epic adventures, right? So like with Thirst for Blood, it doesn't feel like adventures just, you know, getting their feet wet and things like that. I mean, as I mentioned in the review, it's not exactly a like a deal breaker, but it is something that I noticed. All right, Stephanie, thanks for popping on in and joining us tonight. All right, so next we hit chapter 2, Under a False Sun. Let's see what we've got here. Underhaven lies deep underground, its fog-shrouded ceiling located hundreds of feet below the shallow seabed above. The passage the PCs take to the Underhaven from the lower cell block starts at 10 feet across. Okay, la. So, is this where they find the town? I think this is the town. I don't think it. Oh, yeah. There's a sheriff, clerks, the mayor. Yeah, this has got to be it. So I guess this is an underwater locale. So I guess this chapter is supposed to play out kind of like a sandbox. So you've got various different locations. You've got various different events, encounters. That's kind of cool. All right. So then we have To Bleed in Heaven. Let's see. So this is where they're going to find the broken palace. Though they don't know it, the villagers of Underhaven are victims, even if the PCs aren't concerned about or enraged by the situation these people have endured over the centuries. To confront those responsible for the frightening shadow above Talmander's bounty, the party must enter the place the villagers call heaven, and what those inside call the broken palace. Sweet. That's kind of creepy looking vampire there. I think it's a vampire. The Candian. So I got to say, this is looking like this adventure chapter might be kind of spooky. Ooh, scary kids, scary. All right, so then we are going to get some information about Zura. Is this some sort of a deity? I think it might. Oh, wait, no. I think maybe she's a vampire queen. All right, okay. Then we'll get into our adventure toolbox. So we have Essence Forges, new items. Didn't look like we've got any new spells here. We've got our bestiary entries. And then I will take a guess that we are going to get our big bad is Nal Yushia or whatever it was. Ta-da! There we go. Nalushe. That sounds about right. Nalushe. Queen of the Broken Palace. Cool. Nice. I'll tell you one thing that Paizo pulls off probably way better than just about any other publisher out there, and that is converting their adventures over to Foundry. I have heard from so many people who run Foundry and have Pathfinder 2nd edition. The adventures are just fantastic as far as I know. So pretty cool, pretty nice. I got to be honest, if I were going to run 2nd edition Pathfinder, I would do it on Foundry because I would let Foundry do all the heavy lifting. That is for sure. All right, so that was The Broken Palace. What did it clock in at? 96 pages? That's usually what we see. $96 with the ads. And this has an MSRP of $29.99. Or you can just grab the PDF for $19.99. Now we're going to take a peek at the Starfinder 2nd Edition Galaxy Guide. This is something that people are eagerly awaiting. I've really been looking forward to this as well. This clocks in at 176 pages. Here's an MSRP of $59.99. Yes, I will be the first one here to say, yikes! $60 for 176 pages. Ugh. Ouch. And that's without like tariffs, right? So, but you can grab the PDF for $19.99. Almost feels as if this pricing that we see now from Paizo is there to try to like egg you on into the PDFs. I'm just saying. Your guide to the galaxy and beyond. Blast off into Starfinder 2nd Edition with a tour of adventuring locations all over the galaxy in this primer for new and experienced players and GMs. Galaxy Guide is packed with helpful tools for your Starfinder campaign, including 6 new playable alien species, including shape-shifting astrozoans, mega-brained contemplatives, and solar-winged Sarcesians. 6 new archetypes representing the most powerful factions in the galaxy, including infernal Hell Knights and mystical Xeno-Wardens. Exciting lore about new gods, current events, and important hotspots in the Starfinder setting, plus new character backgrounds. Double-sided poster map featuring the galaxy and packed worlds systems. Kevin R. Smith says it definitely feels like they're driving people to PDFs and soft covers. They've even started a subscription for the soft covers. Huh. Pretty wild. Batman says they played Pathfinder on both Foundry and Fantasy Grounds. They prefer Foundry, but had too much invested in Fantasy Grounds to convert their other group over to Foundry. Kevin R. Smith says, I suspect the core book's going to be at least $70. I do believe it is slated to be $69.99. But you never know. You do not know. That could change. All right, first thing we're going to do, let's take a peek at the credits page. A lot of folks work very hard on bringing this to life. So once again, we're going to give some credit where credit is due. And it looks as if we have got some planets. So what's closest and furthest from the sun? So we've got our introduction. The galaxy known as Desna's Path has witnessed stars spark and collapse as countless species and worlds evolve and perish, all while gods battle and mortal empires rise and fall. But modern history begins with the Gap, a mysterious period that was magically wiped from both recorded history and living memory for reasons not even the gods understand. During the Gap, the planet Galarian disappeared. All that remained was a space station powered by the magical Starstone that was Absalon Station, a Magitech marvel inhabited by the shocked survivors of the missing planet. None of them remembered how or why, only that their world had changed seemingly overnight. Bum, bum, bum. So we have some changes, I believe, going on with the source setting for Starfinder. And of course, if you are not overly familiar with Starfinder, the first and the upcoming second edition are science fantasy role-playing games. There is just as much fantasy and magic and things like that as science fiction. So if you're a science fantasy fan, you definitely owe Starfinder a peek. But I would say wait, because the second edition is coming out. Although, always keep your eyes peeled, because Humble Bundle will roll out some Starfinder deals. Usually it's Pathfinder for Paizo, but I have seen some Humble Bundles for Starfinder in the past, and there are going to be some major changes, because now the second edition of Starfinder is going to utilize the 3-action economy, which the first edition didn't. So second edition Pathfinder and first edition Starfinder, just you couldn't combine the two because mechanically they were different. That's no longer going to be the case, because now second edition Starfinder is going to adopt that 3-action economy, which is one of the things that makes Pathfinder so popular. And I've got to say, as far as the adventures that have come out for first edition Starfinder, might be a little tricky converting them over to this new edition. So it looks like we are going to have areas based upon the sort of adventures. So this shows dystopian adventures. Mega corporations competing to outdo one another with rampant technological advances. Corrupt prison planets thrown into chaos. Forces attempting to mechanize all life forms across the galaxy. Desert planets strewn with junk heaps and outlaws. An asteroid belt that hides as many pirates as it does ancient mysteries. Those are your dystopian adventures. So it looks as if we're going to get information about different planets, and then a breakdown of the history, the culture, hotspots, important faces, and utilizing the planet in campaigns. Of course, we're not going to take a look at each and every page here, but I'm going to give you a good feel for what you're going to see inside. And I am going to try my best to actually get a review of this out by this weekend, so that my review is out there before it hits stores. Because that's what I always aim to do. Now, some of you might be wondering, hey, Jeff, isn't the Game Master's Guide for Pendragon out? How come you haven't reviewed that? Well, I don't have it. I reached out to Chaosium Inc. Remember earlier I said, it's getting to the point where it's like every time I turn around, I got to reach out to these companies. They had a delay in their delivery, so they were only sharing the PDF for reviews. And then they never reached out to tell anybody about the physical copies. So it is shipping out. We will probably have an opportunity to take a look at the Game Master's Guide next week. All right, so we got War-Torn Adventures, 2 interstellar powers, the Viscarium and the Aslanti. Hey, remember we've talked about the Aslanti. Star Empire, although they're not, they're not an ancient race that's disappeared. In Starfinder, they exist. They're present. Clash in the remote space of the vast, but their conflict spills over into everyday life across the galaxy. Tensions escalate as planets declare open rebellion, rulers scheme, and mechs and magitech collide. Meanwhile, skirmishes between militaristic Guderian authority and free-thinking Mrexa Republic grow increasingly violent. The warmongering arm. And I'm getting some glare here. And the warmongering arms dealers of apostate are more than happy to reap record profits as statecraft is steadily replaced by military retaliation. The Viscarium is a pretty important empire in Starfinder. Into the unknown adventures. Frozen ships, technomagical debris, and chunks of a ruined occult planet that once incubated a god float in a frigid ice field at the edge of the packed worlds. The region of space known as the Vast is impossibly far away, but numerous threats hide there, looming ever more menacingly. I like the artwork. One of the aspects I always tell people that is really cool about Starfinder, at least in my opinion, and I'm sure it's going to be the same with the second edition, is if you are the sort of player who wants to have a lot of options for your player character at the tips of your fingers, well, I'll tell you what, look no further than Starfinder, because the options as far as the different species, the different classes, the different backgrounds and ways to tweak those, the different feats you can have. I mean, it's just mind-blowing. And like I said, I'm going to take a guess. We are going to see the same with Starfinder Second Edition, especially because it's going to use that 3-action economy. So we're going to have all of those special abilities, or many of them that we see in Pathfinder, make their way into Starfinder 2. The second city, what is this, Chicago? The second city is an ever-expanding region of industry influenced by dozens of civilizations, full of cultural landmarks, bustling marketplaces, factories, and residential districts built in a mishmash of styles. These vistas might seem drab to visitors expecting breathtaking alien scenery, but the gateway to the absurdity is anything but boring. All right. So are we going to start getting into our player options here? I think so. Or were these? No. Okay, right. So that was still looking at planets and that. Now we've got backgrounds. Oh, there we go. Dystopian backgrounds, explorer backgrounds, ports of call backgrounds, war-torn backgrounds. Now we got our factions in the galaxy. That's pretty cool. I like that artwork there. A Badar Corp. A Badar Corp. Okay. So we got space pirates. We got free captains. The Hell Knights. The Knights of Galarian. It's the Xeno Druid. Here's our ancestries. I think we had 4 of them, right? Astrozoan have no clear origins or known homeworld. Their malleable bodies hide a peculiar, I almost said particular, peculiar natural shape they rarely show to anyone. But by changing their bodies to adapt to new situations, Astrozoans have found as many homes as they have identities among the varied cultures of the galaxy. So we're going to get a breakdown of that. We're going to get their heritages, their feats. So we have 6 pages. Then we've got our contemplative, big floating brain. All right, what we got with this? Shaped by countless generations' pursuit of mental self-perfection, contemplatives have huge brains equally suited to math and magic. Their natural telekinesis propels them through the air as their measured curiosity drives them to discovery and innovation. Kevin R. Smith says, you might be able to tweak some of the Pathfinder second edition versions of some stuff given the system compatibility. I would think so. I would think you should be able to do that pretty easily. Kevin R. Smith is asking, the question is, how many of these are going to be converted on day one of second edition? The adventures, I'm curious. I don't think probably any of them are going to be converted. So here's our Dragonkin. Draconic in appearance and fiercely loyal, Dragonkin are deeply empathic beings capable of forming a nearly unbreakable spiritual bond with one other creature, which manifests in telepathic communication and tactical synergy. Let's say that got a bit of glare coming up on these pages. All right, so what else we got here? I will say we do have quite a bit of content in here. We have the Callow. Callows hail from a watery moon orbiting Rathida. These aquatic humanoids have art and creativity at the center of their culture, and they employ fluid fighting styles in combat. Well. Kind of like water beings. The Sarcesian are natural spacefarers who glide through the void of space on butterfly wings of energy and light. So as you can see, as far as the various different species that are available, and of course, the core book's going to have way more. In reality, this is the first supplement for Starfinder 2nd Edition. I thought it was kind of odd that we get this popping on out before the core book arrives in late July at Gen Con. But as you can see with these various different species, they're all like vastly different. So they don't fall into the category of, say, like with Pathfinder. They're all, maybe not all, but the vast majority are humanoid of some sort. That's not necessarily the case with Pathfinder. Like we saw that weird, huge brain creature, or species, I should say. And then lastly, we have the Vlaka. Vlakas are wolf-like nomads whose thick fur coats help them survive in the frigid cold, as it is on their homeworld of Lajoke. Say Lajoke. They have an incredible sense of smell and are often born deaf, blind, or deaf-blind. Wow. That is interesting. Sedated Man is with us in chat. Says they've never played Starfinder. They don't have anything against it. Just too many games on their need to play list. I completely understand. All right, so that's going to wrap this up. And then we have the dual-sided map. So here's the galaxy. So these are the packed worlds over here. So this is where Absalom Station is. Here's the Vast. There's Near Space. The Swarm are out this way. They're one of the big bads from first edition. Okay, so we've got that. And then here we've got the Packed Worlds. Oh, so we saw this graphic. This was right at the beginning of the book. So we've got the sun. And then the various different planets working their way out. You get a breakdown of them as well as Absalom Station. Very cool. Like I said, I'm really looking forward to diving on into Starfinder 2nd Edition. Now, remember, the Galaxy Guide is arriving May 7th, just like all the other items we've taken a look at tonight. This carries an MSRP of $59.99. You can also grab the PDF for $19.99. What I was going to say is, if you follow the Gaming Gang, you might recall I talked about playing a game, an introductory game of Starfinder at Polar Vortex. And the game master, but I'll tell you one thing, that game master absolutely loved Starfinder. And it was like, some of like the NPCs he would talk about as if, yeah, we're tight. Yeah, we go out, we throw the football around in the backyard. But sometimes it's kind of cool to see somebody who really enjoys the game world of a role-playing game that much. I thought it was pretty wild. So I am looking forward to checking out more from the 2nd edition of Starfinder and learning a lot more about its setting. So pretty cool. All right. So tomorrow night, we're going to dive on in. We are going to take a first look at Cults of RuneQuest, Gods of Fire and Sky. So that is going to be on our agenda. This is one of the Pantheon books for RuneQuest. So this is brand new. This just came out. And then out of nowhere, and this, I want to say, came from Free League Publishing, I've got Outgunned and Outgunned World of Killers. Now, I had mentioned these were in transit last week, but like I said, out of nowhere, it was just sort of like cool because I've wanted to check out Outgunned. Just like I'd really like to check out Household and Outgunned Adventure, which is kind of pulpy action and stuff like that. But I don't think those are through Free League. Or maybe they are going to be through Free League. Because I know Two Little Mice and Free League came to like an agreement. I don't remember if Household is part of that or not. Anyway, I've heard really good things. Really good things. Because I guess, isn't this the system that drove Broken Compass, which was another game system, a kind of pulpy action game system I heard good things about? So we'll take a peek at those. We'll take a look at both. And to be honest, I didn't realize as I poked myself with the corner of the book, I'm bleeding. I didn't realize these were like A5s. That's cool. Nice. Very nice. So that's what we're going to be doing this week. All right, that is it for this time out. If you like the video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't already. And if you do subscribe, don't forget, ring that bell. It'll not only let you know when the Dispatch streams live, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday evenings right here on YouTube. It'll also let you know when I share other videos, such as all those reviews that popped up this weekend. Plus, today's review of Cult Divinity Lost from Helmcast AB and Modifius Entertainment. Of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all the latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more you are not going to find here on YouTube. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. And of course, if you'd like to support the Gaming Gang, we do have a Patreon. That link is in the show notes. And be sure to hang with the gang over on our Discord server. There's an invite link in the show notes as well. So take a peek at those. All righty. So I will be back tomorrow. If you watch live, thank you very much. If you watch live and took part in chat, tip of the cap to you, because not only were you keeping me company, you were keeping each other company while I was sharing tonight's news and flipping on through the books and the adventure and so forth. But of course, I know a lot of folks out there, they don't have an opportunity to watch live. Doesn't matter if you're watching live or on Memorex. Thank you for taking time out to watch any of the videos here on the channel. It really does mean a lot. All righty. Once again, I'm Jeff McAleer. I hope to see you next time, which is tomorrow. And as always, I certainly hope all of you get to enjoy plenty of great gaming with your gang.